how long on average would you say it takes for
Yeah, so you will probably go into light sleep in the first 10 to 15 minutes. Then you'll go down into deep sleep. You'll stay there for about 30, 40 minutes. Then you'll start to rise back up, and you'll pop up and you'll have a short REM sleep period. And then you complete the non-REM to REM cycle after about 90 minutes, and back down you go again, down into non-REM and up into REM. So on average for human beings, it's 90 minutes. So
I therefore assumed that napping really does nothing, because I thought, well, it takes me so long to get to REM sleep and to deep sleep that if I've got 15 minutes, 20 minutes to nap, it's just a waste of time.
Right.
Was I wrong or was I right?
You were understandably wrong.
Okay, good. I'm happy, because I've always rejected naps because I thought they don't matter, because it takes me so long to get to a restorative state anyway. So
we've done lots of different studies with naps, we and other colleagues too. And what we found is that naps can transact some fantastic benefits. They can improve cardiovascular health, lower blood pressure. They can improve your learning and memory abilities. They can reset the emotional north of your magnetic compass in a good way, where you can de-escalate negative emotions and increase positive emotions. So naps certainly are a good thing, but with a big caveat that I'll come back to. Yes, you're right in the sense that to get a full cycle of sleep and to get into REM sleep, you would probably have to make that nap about 90 minutes. And in fact, a lot of the studies that we do, we will use a 90-minute nap duration of time so that the brain can cycle through all of those different stages of sleep. But you don't need to, nor would I suggest that you do. What we found is that different stages of sleep perform different functions for the brain at different times of night. There are actually 4 separate stages 1 through 4, increasing in their depth of sleep. So stages 3 and 4 are those really deep stages of non-REM sleep. Stages 1 and 2, that's the lighter form of non-REM. And then you have rapid eye movement sleep, or what we think of as dream sleep. And people will sometimes say to me, how do I get more REM sleep, or how do I get more deep sleep? And my response to them is, why do you want to get more REM sleep? And their answer is, well, isn't that the good stuff? And it turns out that there is no good stuff. It's all good stuff. Maybe with the exception of that light stage 1 non-REM sleep, that's shallow sleep, and we typically don't like to see too much of that. But stage 2 non-REM sleep, 3 and 4, they all have their different functions that we've discovered, and REM sleep has its functions. So you need all of them. You can't shortchange any of them. But for a nap, what we found is that you can get nice benefits for things like your learning and your memory, and it can even reduce some level of anxiety up to about 20 minutes. You can nap. I think one of the studies, they brought a nap down to about 9 minutes in duration, and there was still some basic improvements for your sort of general level of alertness and reaction time. For example, if you're an athlete, that's non-trivial. So the reason I would say be careful with naps is for 2 main sort of suggestions. The first is try not to nap for about longer than 20 minutes, because once you go past 20 minutes, you really start to go down into those deeper stages of non-REM sleep. And if you wake up after about 45 minutes or 60 minutes, it's not a problem. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't or you couldn't. I'm just saying be aware, because when you come out of that deep sleep and you wake up from that deep sleep, normally that's not how you wake up. You will usually wake up out of lighter stages of sleep or out of REM sleep. It's rare that we wake up out of deep sleep. But if you nap and you nap for about 40 minutes, you'll probably go down into deep sleep. And at that point, if you wake up and your alarm goes off, then you're going to feel almost miserable and worse than you did before the nap, because you have what's called sleep inertia, which is essentially a sleep hangover, where the brain is still sort of pulled back into that deep sleep state, and it can take you almost an hour before you feel like you're back up to operating temperature and you're up to motorway speed. So I would say keep it to 20 minutes, and you don't suffer too much of that inertia. You still get some nice benefits. Also, don't nap too late in the afternoon. Also, the final part is, if you are struggling with sleep at night, if you're someone who has insomnia or sleep difficulties, do not nap during the day. It's the worst thing that you can be doing, because when we're awake during the day, we build up a sleepiness chemical in our brain. It's called adenosine. And the longer that we're awake, the more adenosine that builds up. The more adenosine that builds up, the sleepier and sleepier that we feel. And when we sleep, the brain gets the chance to clear away all of that adenosine, all of that sleepiness. And somewhere between 7 to 9 hours after sleeping a full night, the brain has evacuated all of that sleepiness chemical, all of that adenosine, so that then we should wake up and we should feel refreshed and restored and not needing caffeine to function. Why is that relevant to naps? Well, it's relevant to naps because when you take a nap, it's like a pressure valve on a cooker. You're just releasing some of that healthy sleepiness that you've been building up. And therefore, if you are struggling with sleep at night and then you nap during the day, it's terrible because you're taking away all of that healthy, good weight of sleepiness that we've been trying to build up on your shoulders to give you the best chance of a good night of sleep. That's why I would say if you are suffering from insomnia, don't nap during the day. Also, even if you don't struggle with sleep at night, try not to nap after about 3 p.m. in the afternoon or 2 p.m. Napping late in the afternoon or in the early evening, it's a little bit like snacking before your main meal. It just takes the appetite off your sleep hunger, so try not to do that. But naps, for the most part, if you don't struggle with sleep, they are wonderful things. Just keep in mind the 20-minute sort of idea.